G'day, it's Oscar here from Drones for Hire. We're going to quickly run through today how you would go about setting up a route mission on the remote control. We're not going to implement it. We'll have some other videos showing how that's done and kind of the workflow once you get out in the field. This is just to give you a quick reminder if you've had your setup day. So if you get down to the bottom right hand side and click begin, it's going to take you into the aircraft operational screen. On the top left hand corner, we're going to click on that little picture and it's going to take us back to this task mode options. So we're going to do a route or route today, route mission. Click on that. Okay, on this right hand side in the middle there, you've got these two options. You've got add and then you've got the little square with the 4 purple dots. If we click on the square with the 4 purple dots, you'll see we've got a field option or we've got an AB route. So your AB route is just like in a tractor. You set an A point, you set a B point, and then the remote control will create a flight mission from that. Okay, if I exit out of that now and go back into normal route mission, now this is the one we're going to focus on now. So I'm going to click add and it's going to take us into this option where we can create our field. So the first thing we're going to do is put in our boundary points. We just move the crosshairs to where we want it. And we're just going to go on the fence posts. We can zoom right in and get more accurate. Helps if you know your fields, if you're using this method. And we're just going to go to that boundary post there. Okay, so that's our basic area. Now we've got another couple options. Rather than just using that crosshairs, we can click down here next to the little white option that says add. You'll see that little crosshairs box. If you click on that, now we can use the position of the controller or the position of the aircraft. So that means if I click on controller, and our controller's down here somewhere, it hasn't picked it up, doesn't have enough GPS, I can walk around and put the remote control over top of a edge of the field or a corner post or anything, click add, and the GPS position of that remote control will then be recorded onto the screen, onto the map. And exactly the same if we go to aircraft. It will use the position of the aircraft to put that purple dot, that boundary point in. So we can take the aircraft, we can fly it up around the field and tilt the gimbal down so that we're looking straight down, see where the edge of our crop is that we want to spray. Click add when that aircraft's stable and it'll pop a purple dot there. Really handy way to put a boundary point if you don't know the field too well or you want to have an increased accuracy, because when you do the boundary points based on the base map here, this map box, that could be out by, up to 6 meters depending on where the GPS system is. Especially if you've got RTK running, when you go out and you fly that aircraft around to those points, if you've got that base station switched on and locking that relative map that you're creating, you're then going to be, millimeter accuracy, 10 millimeter accuracy. Okay, so we got our basic field area there. We're going to put in some obstacles now. So if we go here to rounds and go back to using the crosshairs, I'm just going to block out this patch here of dead. Click add. Okay, didn't select round. So if I want to get rid of that point, I'm just going to click on it till it goes green or is selected, and then double click on it and that'll just delete it straight away. So let's try that again. Click on rounds, zoom in, click add. Okay, that's our obstacle now. Now I can click on that middle section and move it to anywhere I want, or I click on that outer ring and I can change the diameter of the circle. So open it up there, looking good. Again, if I want to delete that, I'm just going to click on that center point and then double click and delete that obstacle. Now if I want to do another obstacle that's not a circle, say I want to go around a specific area, I can use this obstacle points. So put in any more than 3 points, sorry, 3 or more, and it'll create an obstacle area, and I can make that look whatever it likes. When you're doing obstacles, remember that an obstacle is a point that the aircraft will avoid. So the aircraft will not fly anywhere near that selected area which is red. So in some applications where you don't want to get the inefficiencies that you can see here where, well, let's make it a little bit more complicated just for fun. Let's put another obstacle in like this. And you'll start to see lots of white lines. The white lines are where the aircraft's flying but not spraying. Whenever we're flying and not spraying, we're wasting energy. So we want that aircraft to be doing long, straight runs. So we've got as fewer white lines as possible, fewer times when the aircraft's carrying load but not spraying. So most of those aren't too much to worry about, but this one here that's running around the entire outside of that top boundary, that's going to be painful. It's doing these couple of short runs here on the corner, so it's going to slow right down, move around, slow right down, move around. Same here on this corner. We want to try and avoid that sort of thing. Now, if that area is just an area that we just don't want to spray, but we don't mind if the aircraft flies over, for example, something like maybe a tank or a shelter shed or something like that. So with the T50, it's got great obstacle avoidance and terrain tracking. We might need to make sure that we're a little bit more on the ball when the aircraft comes to that point, but we can turn it into a non-spray area, and then we might just manually stick up and give it a little bit of help to get up and over that obstacle. We just want the aircraft to stop spraying. We don't necessarily want it to avoid that obstacle completely. So we'll get rid of this obstacle by just deleting these points. There we go. We'll get rid of this one too. And we'll put a non-spray area. So in that same kind of position that other one was at. Not going to get it perfectly the same, but close enough. You see there now, we haven't got those massive changes in the aircraft trajectory. It's still flying over these points, but we got white lines where it's not spraying. So if that was, say, a shelter shed or something like that, or a patch of very special microlina or some desirable plant that you didn't want to spray, you just put your no spray area around it. The aircraft will still fly over, but the spray system will turn off. Very handy if you don't want to have that complete avoidance. If it is flying over an obstacle of some description, you do have to take a little bit more care in your manual inputs. And you can always, remember, you can always stick up, so you can always just add a little elevation, a little bit of throttle to the aircraft, and it will just rise up, and you can maintain that height as it goes over, and then release the throttle, and it'll just fall back down to its working height. Okay, so before we click save in the bottom right, we're just going to move across to this left-hand side, and we're going to do some slight alterations. So we can set our route spacings, we can set our widen one margin. So if we want to move away from the boundary a bit more, we might wind this up to, say, 5 meters, and you'll see that whole flight plan's just moved in a little bit. If I zoom in here on the edge and then bring that bound to 0 again, you'll see it's moved closer to the boundary there. So you can do the same on one side. So if we've got a sensitive area we might want to move away from, sensitive paddock on that side, we can move away from the boundary on that side. We've done them all again. If I reselect that, there we go. So bring that side back to 0. If I want to bring other ones back to 0 or pick one side to widen, I can do that as well. It allows me, if I've got a crosswind or something like that and I've got a sensitive crop on one side, to give myself a bit more of a buffer. So we get out of that. You can do the same here with your obstacle, distance from obstacles. So if you've got some trees, dead trees that you're particularly worried about, you might want to give yourself a 5 meter buffer from them. So we want to change our start point. Click on the settings here. We're going to change our start points up this top right hand corner. Click on that. You can't see it. There you go. Selected that one. It's green. Click save. Now our green arrow, our start points move to that top side. If we go into advanced on that right hand side, in that left hand side task options, so we can do another few tricky things here. So we can do the route only, which is just the swim lanes you can see in there. We can also do route and boundary. You see now, if I zoom in, there's an orange line around the boundary of the flight. That's going to be our, basically it's a headland. So our aircraft will start at the green dot. It'll do these yellow swim lanes right until it gets to the end. At the end, on the last run, it'll fly to the boundary, and then it's going to do a run around the complete boundary. So really handy for getting those smooth edges and not having issues with the aircraft slowing down and its swath changing as it gets to the end of the runs. And then the other option there is just to do the boundary. Really handy if you want to do a fence line, say you just want to run around and do a fire break or something around a paddock, or spray the edge of your crops. You know, do a weed protection fire break or biosecurity break. You can just use the same map that you used before, and you can click just the route and it'll run round the edge of the boundary. You can also change this from clockwise to anti-clockwise depending on what you want to do. I'm going to stick with those ones. And then you can do this single side spraying. Now, I haven't actually used this yet, so I can't give you too many details. But this allows you to spray out only one side of the aircraft. So if you're doing, for example, a fence line and you want to reduce your swath, you can use that option. So we've functionally used it, but we haven't done any spray testing, so I can't tell you what exactly will happen when the aircraft sprays. I'm not sure what the droplets and the actual spray pattern will look like. You'll see here though that on each run it's got a little indication of which side is being sprayed. See that little yellow mark will tell you which way is being sprayed. Course angle, so we can change that. We can alter, take that one off, and then we can, excuse me, take off optimization. We can use this little feature to move the aircraft around, move the spray around to where we want it. There's also another option there, so if I cancel that, over here you'll see at the top of the screen this yellow dot. If I grab on that and twist it, it'll also twist the flight path. So you really want to look for long straight runs. That's going to optimize your flight capacity, your battery usage, and it's going to give you the most even sprays. Okay, that's about it. The last one here is the route segment. So we use this a bit for trial work, so I can wind it down and you can see what's happening. It's going to remove some of the flight. So if I want to break this up into 3 sections, I might do the first section. Yep, so I do the first third, and then I can come in later and do the second third kind of thing. And that allows you to, you know, break your paddocks up. Also, if you lose, I don't know, your spray mission for some reason, this allows you to kind of come back, and because you'll have in your records what percentage of that mission you did, you'll be able to come back and finish on from there, the bit that you missed. If we cancel that now. Okay, that's pretty much it. We just go into save now, and it's going to save. Yep. save that mission. Then you can either find it on the map later on, or you can find it on this task list on the left-hand side here. Okay, that's basically it for implementation. We'll do another video that just gives you a basic understanding of how you set up a route mission. Thanks for watching.